Let's go. Is it Firen?
Hi, everybody. Hi, Josh.
Hi.
I spoke with you maybe about 6 weeks ago after one of Angelo's um, retreats. And I, um, at the time, felt pretty open and on a good path. Since then, I've felt really stuck in doubt. I think my, I guess, progression was that I went through Liberation Unleashed and graduated and saw no self, but it was just a flash, it was like 15 minutes. I actually only saw it in other people. I didn't look at myself. I just had this like moment in time where everything shifted and I saw people and saw that they were just acting out things that they thought they were involved, but they were just practice. Strange experience to but then I went kind of towards the end. I do think I had a and I remember having this thought that, oh my gosh, I never have to believe another thought ever. And it felt so light and I was overjoyed by that. And then since then I have been, listening to a lot of Angelo's stuff and following Angelo a lot, and he's amazing. And the way he explains things is great. But I've kind of gone way back into this place of doubt of like, did I actually experience anything? And like, I haven't experienced the real shift. And so I need to work on it and just been feeling so kind of despondent and far from any kind of realization. It's like I've convinced myself that I don't have it or didn't get it or something because I haven't had this like big shift. And life is kind of just normal, like it's always been. At the same time, I have this sense that I could just stop. I could just, it feels like it's like a paper thin step away, like all of it. I just feel it and I feel that I'm blocking it off. I'm believing a lot of my thoughts around process. Oh, I've got to do this. I've got to do that. I've got to like think about my life. I've got to plan. I've got to whatever, think a lot about all the things. And then I get convinced about it. Anyways, I don't know what my question is, but I'm just like really stuck in doubt and confusion and
Hmm.
sadness and grief about feeling so far away.
Confusion is a hesitation strategy.
Yeah, hesitation and uh what's it called when you don't do the thing you need to do? You're waiting, procrastinating. I
Yes.
feel like I'm procrastinating like all the time. Like there's something in me that's like, no, I'll do it in a minute. Do
What
what?
what are you what are you hesitating around? What's the point of reference there?
When I sit and I do self-inquiry by myself, uh there's a feeling that comes up and it is that I feel despondent. I feel heavy. Um,
Ah,
I don't
that,
like
there you go. You want to know where the path is? It's in that consistent experience that you are attempting to avoid.
the despondency.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Something in that is probably spawning some thoughts, probably a lot of thoughts, and
Yeah.
it's probably what's creating that sense of doubt. This isn't you don't. you don't get a certificate of completion in this and then you're done. That's not how any of this works. What
Yeah.
happens though is if the mind wants there to be some kind of conclusion or some sort of outcome, and you feel like you may have gotten that outcome, then anything that seems to interfere with that belief is going to create a sense of doubt. And what you're telling me firsthand is this sense of despondency is not good. It's not right. Something's wrong there. That's what you're basically saying subtextually.
Mm.
But it's what is. And so how do you know that there's something wrong with it?
My mind is telling me that I'm missing something.
No, you're definitely not. But it's in the feeling space.
Well, I'm missing the awakening part. I don't have it.
You're if you're feeling despondent, that's your awakening.
What does that mean?
Whatever is in your immediate experience needs to be met entirely. That's awakening. So if there's something that you are resisting, avoiding, or hesitating around, that's why you feel like you don't have it because it's being used as a point of that's not me. I'm not that.
Mm.
Fundamentally, you are everything, especially what is arising in your immediate experience. So what happens is doubt, and for everyone else who's listening here too, doubt is a method, a subtextual method of control. You can interfere with that doubt every time it comes up. Ask, what does it want to control? What am I attempting to control right now? And you will feel that feeling because something in the mind says, I feel this thought, and this thought is despondency.
Mm.
But it's just a feeling. It doesn't actually have any meaning, but it's begging to be met.
Yeah. I every once in a while will also have the complete opposite flash of, oh my God, what if I actually do wake up?
Right?
And
What
then
was
there's fear.
there you go. So whatever is most immediate in your experience is begging to be met. We could just say that all of our reality is sympathetic. In other words, co-arising experiences that are somehow wanting to align. It's it's like the classic story if we go long term that all we are is God experiencing ourselves as separate so that we can eventually experience ourselves as God. It's like this game that reality seems to be playing. This is also the experience of love that our love tends to be so big that we've never allowed it to touch itself. That's what despondency is. It's an aspect of something that can reach out and touch itself if you allow it to.
Is it like the you don't know what light is unless you know what darkness is kind of concept?
This is the way the path tends to go. It's not always in this map, but we tend to go supernova. We tend to have this massive expansion, and then we tend to go black hole. It's
Am I
not
in
up.
a black hole?
It sounds like you're going black hole. We call this deeper stage realization. It tends to look like shadow, tends to look like something we don't want to experience. As soon as there's a no, that's your yes. If as soon as you feel a no, that's your yes. If you are convinced that it's a no, then you'll say no to the no, and then you'll say no to that no, and you know how that goes. That's the nature of doubt. You want to control it. It's not your fault that this is coming up, it's just a pattern. You're stepping into a new momentum, that which is immediately emerging and arising now, spontaneous appearance. And I know it's being viewed as despondency, but I promise you, it's not what you think it is. It's not at all. It's you.
Yeah, my mind, when I do sit down to do self-inquiry, like gets super obsessed with what question should I ask? Like it's just like obsessively, like, should I word my question like this or should I ask this other question? What if I ask the wrong question?
But now all you have to do in that moment is what am I attempting to control here?
Yeah, that definitely feels like control.
Of course it is. And find out what it's referencing because it's referencing something real in your experience right now when that shows up. Find out what that is. This is the Dogen quote again. This is the study of the self. What's happening in that mechanism? What is it referring to? What am I attempting to step away from? But also, I love what you said because the question itself is a good question. The question of what question should I ask is a great inquiry question, actually,
Oh, I
because
never thought of that.
it, you're stirring something. When you think you need an answer, something is stirring. You're feeling something that's corresponding with all that thought. Go there.
That's the feeling. And I think that's why my brain is like, what question should I ask? What if I ask the wrong question? Because I'm trying to avoid that feeling of like
Yes.
I feel so far away and
But that's just a thought that is parasiting a feeling. Here's the trick. The feeling has no inherent meaning, but that thought buries itself in the feeling, and
yeah,
we think that we're feeling what we're thinking. It's the ultimate trick of the mind.
yeah,
So this is a great share that you're bringing up because I feel like there's going to be a lot of people that are really going to be able to relate with this. All you must do is bring as much attention into what feels like a no. There's a sense of no there, and that's why we go into the thought. It's designed to pull you away from an experience that you've already determined is wrong. Prove
yeah.
that it's wrong. Prove that there's badness there. Prove that there's pain or discomfort. I think what you'll find is another game of peekaboo.
What does that
Peekaboo.
mean? Another game of peekaboo mean?
We have arising experiences all the time, these little bubbles of like flashes of things, right? And as soon as it's there, we just go like this, peekaboo, and we merge, whoop, merge, whoop, merge. This is the way that attention works. If you walk into a deep, dark cave and you start to see a flashing light above you, your attention is going to be drawn, and it's not really you doing it. It will show you everything about agency. If you're not attempting to control the nature of attention, you're already with that feeling before those doubts begin, which means you can just stay.
I don't have to grab onto the thoughts about it. I just stay with the feeling.
Thoughts,
The
well, you already had the realization, so I want to reinforce that for you. You don't have to believe a thought, that's true. And also, I'm going to extend that a tiny bit. Thoughts cannot help you here at all. They can't help you at all. They're attempting to desperately, but get suspicious. Methinks it doth protest too much. What is it working so hard to do? What's going on? Why is it freaking out? Oh, it's this. Full send. Get to know it. And I promise you this, you will start to bloom. Bloom. It will probably start to break you into an emotional way. If not, just get to know the sensational experience. What does despondency even mean? Find out. Is it the same feeling every time? Does it go exactly the same way? Is there actually something consistent? Or is it just an initial sense of no? And then you'll see the nature of preference, very subconscious mind here. Yeses and nos, binary, yeses and nos. Whenever you find a no, get to know that. Because if it's all yes, then where's the problem?
yeah.
It's only a problem when we've determined it to be a problem. Or we could put it this way, that which perceives of a problem is the problem.
Mhm.
So be curious. Here's another thing. I'm going to put this relationally because this works in interpersonal human relationships too. Are you being defensive or are you being curious? And I think what you'll find is when the doubts kick in, there's a sense of being defensive.
Oh, for sure. I don't want them.
It's okay. It's not the doubts, really. The doubts are a direct reflection of some sense of no in the feeling space. But all of this is actually you're firmly on the path. So I'll just remind you. Nothing is going wrong here. You didn't lose anything, but it's now maturing in a deeper way. You're integrating more thoroughly. That's what's happening. And
Okay.
yes, the mind is going to throw a whole bunch of, it's going to pull every trick out of the bag that it can. Anything that feels personal, it's going to start springing that forward. Don't
Okay.
be surprised if it makes you, or if it starts thinking thoughts around self-harm and suicide. It can show up. Just don't do anything if it does, because when we get really close to something, it will pull out every bag of tricks. I don't
Okay.
want to insert that if it's needless, but I just want to like give you a reminder. Doesn't mean anything. It's common along the path. Number one cue here is don't do anything. Don't do anything.
Yeah, I've actually already had that, which was super weird. Like very early on before I even knew what was going on or was I wasn't even thinking about anything. But I think like a big chunk of like the ego self was kind of cracking. My brain was like, "You should just kill yourself." And I was like, "What?"
Right? Like,
It was like so weird.
right? Like, where'd that come? Like, who are you?
I was like, I didn't feel depressed or like any intention to do it, but it just kept popping in there. I was like, whoa, it's weird.
Anything to draw attention away from something else. So that's all you just keep paying attention to the gap or the point of reference.
Okay.
Right now, the thing that stood out the most was what you call that sense of despondency. First thing, where do you feel it? It'll probably be kind of consistent. So if it's in the solar plexus, that's one thing. Second thing, what's it made out of? It feels like little threads, or it's like electricity, or it's like a pressure, these kinds of things. And then the third thing, what is its maximum or fullest expression? And that's when it begins to somehow develop, show
Okay.
up. It'll make a sound. You might move your body. It might say something spontaneously. Just be with it and let it show you. Let despondency wake you up.
Um, One more question that feels kind of simple but keeps popping up for me is like Angelo talks a lot about the question, right? And like in self-inquiry. And so if I'm sitting down and being quiet and I'm, going into the sensations, do I need a question? Like,
There, okay, I love that you're asking this. For a lot of people along the way, we reach a threshold in inquiry. In other words, at first we become dependent on inquiry, which makes sense because you're actually having metacognitive realization. But there's a certain point where it's all energetic. Inquiry is supposed to catalyze a sense of curiosity. So can you stay curious without needing a verbal question?
yeah.
That that's where you're at now. Trust
Okay.
that.
Okay.
You'll find an intuition. And also just don't be surprised if you get spontaneous organic inquiry. That can show up sometimes too, where it's just like a feeling comes up and then there's a spontaneous, what is this? That's organic and natural. That's fine. What is this? Really, what is it? We're
Yeah.
not asking questions for answers anymore. The question itself is the answer.
Mm. Thank you, Josh.
It's good stuff. I love it. I love the variety of where people are on the path. It's so good. So good. Thank you. Because what a great sample size we have all together, truly. Like, I'm sure we can all relate to everything that's been shared so far. How wonderful. All right, let's go, Christopher.
Hey Josh.
Hey.
Is my volume okay?
Hmm. Yep.
Um, I had a question, I guess, about sort of I don't know how to phrase it, if it's a need or a draw, but you're talking about going through phase where you're going out hugging everybody, and kind of since, pretty big shift a couple years ago, it's been more the opposite. Um, for me, where there's a lot of relationships in my life that I found um, or saw that were disingenuous. Um, that I was holding on to them not out of a real sense of connection, um, but more of a sense of I need to do this for the other person. And so over the past couple of years, a lot of relationships have been kind of let go of. Um, and the ones that are still there, um, I can see the people they're wanting to draw me in, they want that contact. Um, and it's just not there. Um,
Mm.
and in a way, it feels like, um, for the first time, I'm honoring kind of what's within. I'm not doing this just because they want me or want to draw me in. Um, and yeah, and it's something that, I've never been a huge social person. And at this point, there's not a lot of kind of so good social contacts left. Um, and I know that there's a few that still feel disingenuous. And I think there's a part that um, some of the resistance to it is that not wanting to hurt other people. Um, but then there's also knowing that being in relationship with people, in friendships, that it's not coming from an authentic place. Um, that can be hurtful too. And so I did do Angelo's retreat a little while back, and that week of just kind of time alone was probably one of the most nourishing weeks I've had. And it just feels like, yeah, like this kind of silence and the solitude is what's needed, but there's this tension. Um, and a lot of that is mind, that there's kind of conclusions being drawn, assumptions being made. But I'm just wondering if you could kind of speak to, um, I don't know, it feels weird to say like the tendency to withdraw, because it doesn't feel like withdraw. It feels like, kind of resting, relaxing into what is needed. And it's not that social connection, at least not in the way that I was used to for most of my life.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, so I'm just kind of in this, I don't know, I guess it's not quite the right word, but there's almost a sense of guilt, um, that I'm not as available to the people in my life who want that availability, but it feels like but this is what's true right now. So
Yeah,
just wondering if you have thoughts on that.
for sure. I mean, it sounds like you're just coming into the friction of conditioning, the shoulds and shouldn'ts and the have tos and the don't have tos. There's no rules really to any of this. Whatever feels most natural is where this tends to go. Natural motion. Sometimes it'll look like uh, having space, not a bunch of interactions. Other times it'll look like interactions. That's not really up to us. There's no one really in control of that. Um, Sometimes it will look like exploring relative boundaries with people, and the benefit of that is something that showed up early on for me was interacting with other people and basically seeing that that relationship was actually dysfunctional and like doing something completely new within that relationship and watching how that other human being couldn't handle that and how that basically brought its own space naturally. That was one thing. Another thing is exploring some of that and then somebody attempting to control or change and realizing that that also wasn't a conducive relationship, that sometimes it's stepping away from relationships, but there's really no right move, wrong move here. I think what it comes down to is that there's a sense of obligation that you're interacting with. And it's more than anything, it doesn't even have to look externally like being in a relationship or not being in a relationship. It's something to do with your relationship with that sense of obligation and that sense of conditioning that you have to be a certain way. That's that's all going to be thought. And yeah, of course, that prison exists in the mind here. And then again, other human beings that have certain conditioning might want to keep you in a certain place too in a relationship. So it's just a matter of how willing are you to challenge that particular type of conditioning. It doesn't
Yeah,
necessarily mean that you isolate and you remove yourself from people, though, either. It could look anyway. It's just, is it the conditioning itself? Is that providing anything? Is that doing anything for them? Is it doing anything for you? And you'll start to see that's just the nature of identification is there's a series of reaction schemas or reaction formations in these conditions. I have to or I should. Who says?
right. Yeah, I know that makes sense. And I think the word obligation is a good one. Um, and I found, at work, for example, there was a lot of, historically a lot of fawning behaviors, wanting to kind of present a certain way as a sense of safety. And there's been kind of that movement away from that mode of being. And I could see the people around me a little bit like, kind of, what's up with Chris? Like um, but it's okay. It's almost like that settled out. And things feel so much more comfortable now. Um, and
That's
at the
right.
same time, yeah, and at the same time, it's like, there isn't that need to connect in that way, but um, it kind of like you talked about earlier, the, you know, seeing more and more clearly, that people acting and reacting out of a place of woundedness, right? And it's kind of, for me, like the reactivity towards, if somebody's upset with me that, I haven't called them in a while. Um, that sense of reactivity here is so much less. But at the same time, yeah, I think it really is more the fear of, that what I'm doing could harm others. Um,
When how can stillness harm anyone? All stillness does is it brings ways that we are harming ourselves to the surface. You see that everyone's just expressing their own pain. And sure, they may be pointing the finger, but they're just expressing their own pain. Does that have any requirement of how you should or shouldn't be? And you'll see the nature of expectation, that expectations are like foreshadowing our own suffering. Every time we apply ourselves to an expectation, especially around another human being, you're going to suffer because you're projecting, you're displacing some truth onto someone else. If everyone was truly fully authentic, then it works itself out and there's really no need to even apologize in that because it is what it is. So it's the mask wanting to apologize about being the mask is what's going on. If you are
right,
what you are, and that doesn't have any expectation and that shows up, then those who appreciate will be close. Those who don't will fall away. This is the way it tends to go. And
right,
you probably won't care either way because you're already in wholeness. Why do
right,
we have to maintain artificial relationships? It's silly. And people do this all the time because what they're really attempting to do is it's a manipulation schema, either manipulating themselves to get something or manipulating somebody else to get something. But you're not getting it anyway.
right. Yeah. And I think
So,
it's an old habit of wanting to fix, right?
yeah,
Um,
look, if somebody wants you to be a certain way and you're not that way, where's the need to apologize?
right,
It just doesn't even make sense. It's like, I look at the horse and I go, man, I wish that was a car. And now I'm pissed off at the horse because it's not a car. It doesn't make any sense.
right. Okay. Okay.
So it does tend to work itself out, just natural movement. And one more thing to point out too, this is just your gentle caveat, is that remember, every sword we hold has two edges. And so one of those edges of maybe isolation or whatever might be designed to move away from something else. Just make sure you stay diligent and examine and be really clear that if there's a natural motion, there tends not to be a because behind it. It just is. So when somebody says, "Well, why, I haven't seen you for a while. Like, why haven't you reached out?" Because I don't have a reason. That's just been what's coming up, I guess.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's just very new, I think, as well.
I know
Okay.
it'll shake some things up. Sometimes, like, it's very rare that it really cleaves ourselves of relationships that we really want or like are healthy in our lives, but it can definitely eliminate relationships that have really never been good for either party. Like those, if there's anybody that's in a trauma bonded relationship, it tends to fall apart in the midst of awakening for sure.
Right. Yeah, and I've definitely noticed you know, like with my wife and, basically one or two other friends, it's almost there's more connection there,
Mm.
right? But it's not
Well,
necessarily the, what it looks like. Yeah, it doesn't need to be a certain way, but it's there, and there is more kind of compassion, empathy, that kind of stuff. And
totally.
um,
And it keeps moving, just so you know. There's no conclusive aspect to this. So sometimes that looks like a resurgence into the village. Once we take the path to the tallest mountain peak, we take the path back to the village, but that's not the end. Then we also go back to the mountain peak with a few villagers, and then we go back to the village and there's no one there. And it's just like this constant ebb and flow that really we're just being carried. We're not doing any of it.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, maybe it's getting quiet for now. That's okay. Sometimes it looks like a desert. Sometimes we go into a cave. I didn't do that.
Right.
The one
Yeah.
guarantee is that this is impermanent. Guaranteed. So it's probably going to keep you surprised. Have fun.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, and just I think it's trust. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, really, where's the problem?
right.
We kind of have to impose it. We have to force it. It's almost like a prediction or a guess, you know?
Yeah.
Seems like everything's working itself out. And,
Yeah.
what do they say? It's not over until the fat lady sings or whatever that statement is. Something like that. Um,
Yeah.
I don't think she ever sings. So sometimes what happens is we step away from a kind of a relationship, sometimes familially, and then we go full circle back into that, and then now we're integrating in our family again. This happens. So what? There's no permanence here. So have fun, of
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you for that.
course. Nice to see you. All right, let's go, David.
Hey, Josh.
Hi.
Hey, this is really cool. Uh, it's fascinating listening to everyone and then finding myself in everything that people are talking about. That's really cool.
The power of satsang.
Yeah, man. Everyone here is really, really, really cool. Um, yeah, what I kind of wanted to just throw out there, it's more just an observation for myself. It was cued by people talking about music and this sort of like soul opening for music, because that's been happening for me recently. But I feel like right now, in terms of this path, I'm tilling, like where I'm tilling this ground that feels productive. I realize there's these kind of it feels like two shades. And on the one hand, I've been really working with dropping into immediate sensation, immediate experience into the body, and in that process recognizing thoughts and not fighting them, seeing them, and almost like the mantra has almost been like, I don't have to refer back to that. I don't need them to explain what's going on. So it's this feeling of dropping, being very present, and sort of seeing thoughts for just what they are, right? And it's a mode that's meditative, whether I'm doing it on the cushion or I did it at a restaurant last night when I was waiting for the bill. And wow, it's just so present. It felt like I was my sense was just kind of expanding into the entire environment I was in. But the tone of it is kind of heady. I wasn't in my thoughts, but there was something about it that felt uh, what's the word? I was going to say dull, but maybe dull isn't the right word. But just it just felt direct and settled somehow. So that's one area that feels like there's earth being tilled. But then the music thing. So just like several people have said, the first person said, I've been reconnecting with certain songs, and there are certain songs that I'm listening to now that seem to be about awakening. I don't know if the songwriters intended that, but goddamn, I listen to them. I'm like, okay, how do they understand this territory? Because that's what they seem to be singing about. And then just other songs from when I was young that I'm rediscovering, that I think that I'm realizing, oh shit, this is touching something really important inside of me. Uh,
Mm.
and when I listen to it, it feels like my soul lighting up and coming alive again, right? And I've been kind of connecting it recently with like trying to just feel into my chest center, my heart center, and it feels alive and fiery, and it feels soulful, and it feels energetic, and it feels very richly me. And I guess I'm just saying that I guess I'm just noticing the contrast between that feeling of rich meanness and soulfulness in that area versus the dropping out of my thoughts, and I guess doing that kind of inquiry, or that kind of like noticing the thoughts and not following them, which feels a lot more uh, blank and settled, maybe. Like, it doesn't feel me and that rich, soulful, lusty, like get out there, like tears, and I don't know. It's and I'm sure these are not ultimately two different things, but I don't know. That's just I'm just noticing those two shades. That's all. Yeah.
Intuitively, the when we reach a threshold in something that we're doing or practice, it can start to kind of take almost a dullness to it. That can usually be an indication that you no longer need that particular type of practice, or it might be time to turn attention into what's more spontaneous and immediate. So my recommendation is toggle the switch a little bit. See how closely you can stay centered near that sense of meanness, and see if you ever need to let it go. I mean, sounds quite a bit like what Steve brought up earlier about that sense of flow, that maybe if you just stay with that, there's no need to continue to have a practice. The practice, the practice that is, let's put it this way, the practice that seems easy or doesn't seem like much, or the practice you like, isn't really a practice. That doesn't necessarily mean anything. It's not really a judgment, but maybe that it's just not providing anything. Maybe it's not stirring enough, and maybe you can take a break.
Mm. Yeah, the former, that sort of meditative mode that I was describing, and I guess by dull, I don't mean like I'm bored or anything. I just mean it feels lacking in big emotional color necessarily
Oh yeah,
a lot of the time.
fine.
Yeah. Um, but I guess at some level, there's in the back of my mind, there's a part of me that's like, okay, I know, I do feel like I'm kind of in this unbinding period or whatever, right? Where I'm less and less, I'm more and more able to not look at thoughts as being the world, or and I do think in the back of my mind there's this like, well, I know at some point I'm gonna disidentify from thoughts, and that's gonna be the first awakening and everything. And so I think in those times where I'm like, oh, I'm meditative and I'm watching thoughts, in the back of my mind, I'm sure there's something going, all right, here we go, we're gonna disidentify. Okay, okay, get ready to disidentify. This is how you do it.
Yeah, it's almost like we could turn that into another question, maybe inquiry. What happens when you're so still and so silent there is no thought? Or what are you without any thought? It's like to kind of pick up that dharmic tension again. What are you with no thought? What's here without thought? Does everything vanish? Or is there still something that remains? Because even the pointings around thoughts are, there's two edges to that too. Yes, of course, thoughts are okay and they can show up at the same time. Sometimes that gives us a little bit of comfort to know that no, it's okay to be with thought, which tends to be its own thought.
Mhm.
So there might be something in that. It doesn't have to be uncomfortable, but it's almost like we step into the most human way I can describe this is being comfortably uncomfortable. Like there's always a sense of some kind of aliveness that we never step away from. That meanness that you're talking about sounds a lot like that. Sometimes it takes a really nice tone, other times it can be a little shaky.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I think part of me is thinking, well, if it feels that much like me, like this soul expression, like something very me, then surely that's me identifying as a me, right? Then that's ego, or that's the thing that's got to get, it's got to go away.
Maybe the question is, can you prove that? I mean, when we talk about emptiness, a lot of people will assume that means there's like a nothing. Not quite. There's a something, it's just not identifiable.
Mm,
There is no vacuum, none. So you might be touching into true nature, and that's that. That doesn't necessarily have a me involved in it. Maybe. But now I would say look for the extremes of the experience. Where is the edge? How far are you willing to go? These kinds of things. And then you'll see if there's a limitation, it'll present itself as a limitation. If not, bye. You just bye. You gate.
Well, I mean, it's all felt cool. We'll keep
Yeah,
going. Keep going.
sounds juicy. Hmm.
Yeah.
Test the edges of your perceived container. Is there something more? Is there an edge? Is there a threshold? Is there a maximum capacity for something? My intuition says this: find your capacity for that sense of meanness. Like, what is it in its maximum expression? There definitely won't be identification there. It just can't. It's the identification is the filtration of something that's manageable. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that rings true.
What happens when it goes to the point of no more management? There's like a kind of energy that shows up there. I love it though. It's a good share.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Jacori.
Hey Josh,
Hi.
feeling pretty scrambled.
Where?
It's in the mind that is scrambled.
Oh,
Yeah.
what is that corresponding with in terms of what you feel elsewhere? What else is here?
Like a hotness or thinking here.
Stay at the core of that. Stay at the feeling right there, and then while you're really focused on that, just gently turn attention to watch the mind grasping. Doesn't actually grab anything. You can feel like these like almost little jerky efforts in the mind. Like it's reaching for something, doesn't land. Something else doesn't land. Just watch that. And as it continues to do that and you watch it closely, you might start to notice it unwinding. The thing has to happen. There's nothing to do. Just watch. What do you notice?
More dropped into my stomach, and yeah, the wanting to make some conclusion is still strong, or like control what's happening
Mm-hmm.
and reference like what I was like going to bring up before, but it's not. So um, it's kind of just about what you said with like, yeah, there's been emotions coming and then different ways of getting pulled into the mind out of the feeling.
Just being, well, here's your keyword. That's it. Just right where you're at. Look, without even needing a conclusion, at least you're seeing what's happening. This is the study of the self right here. How does everything function? It's perfect.
Mm.
You don't need to depend on a conclusion. You're already with something, and so you're already home. Just watch how the system's working. And then as you continue to develop this efficacy, just by being with it through exposure, you might start to ask questions. What if I do? What if I don't? What if I do? What if I don't? Whatever seems to be proposed as an option. And that's where your natural sense of curiosity will show you everything. That's the essence of this intuition, just like that. So even though it might not be comfortable or settled, still don't need a conclusion. It's working itself out.
Yeah, there's a sadness coming.
Where do you feel that?
It was in my eyes, but now I'm not sure. It's getting more murky in my body.
That's all right. Sometimes that's exactly how a wave looks too, just like that. Stay persistent. Go back. Stay with the murkiness. Maybe that transforms into something more cutting and sharp. Stay with that. Then something that feels like a stone falling. Stay with that. Then a splash. Stay with that. In real time, the spontaneity of how you engage is most important. There is no before, there is only this. There is no after, there is only this. And just stay. Rinse, repeat. When you feel like a rupture is about to occur, squeeze the lemon. Let that rupture take you all the way in. Crying, whatever that looks like, anything. Vocal expression, words, no words, twitching. And then let the body kind of readjust. And then that's another wave. And then go again. Sometimes these waves are very nuanced. That's okay too. Murkiness to something else, that's fine.
Mm. Yeah, there's a sense of something being covered up. Like before being on the spot like this, there was more like feeling ready to
That's okay.
explode, you know?
It's
And
okay though. This is how we titrate a little bit. So just you engaging in this way is beginning to show whatever that management, it might be in the background, that management that, hey, it's okay. Look, I guess everything's okay. Maybe I can go a little further every time. Maybe I can go a little further every time. It's like having a sense organ that we're learning how to use and we're testing it and then we start to figure it out. We start to gain a sense of maturity with it. That's all. That's okay too. Doesn't have to be forced or pushed. I mean, you're still here, you're still presenting, you're still on the spot, and no consequence either way. What I would say is after the call, if you notice that it starts to increase again, keep watching to see where that line of division is. Where is it separate? Where does it
mm,
start to come up when I'm in my own experience? And where does it start to get more muted when I'm in front of other people? Explore that a lot closer. It's good stuff. Stay with it.
thank you.
Nice to see you.
Good to see you.
All right. Well, that brings our satsang to a close. Um, Wanted to just say thank you to everyone for your really earnest and authentic sharing today. There was a lot of beautiful questions and shares and demonstrations in real time. Kind of like what David said. We start to see ourselves in each other in all these unique and interesting ways. And that does seem to be one of the benefits of satsang. So for all of you who shared, thank you. For all of you who held space and witnessed, thank you. It's just as important. And feel very, very grateful. So thank you for that too. I will leave the meeting open for a little bit. If you guys can chat too, or do whatever you want afterwards. And just wanted to say thank you so much. And I guess I will probably see most of you or all of you in a month. Wishing you fruition. Bye.